They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But Bitcoin is on absolute fire right now. Bears are panicking, running for the exits, but there's no escaping what's coming. It's Bitcoin all-time high season, and if you think things are bullish now, Bitcoin hasn't even begun to melt faces yet. And something is just days away. And the last time that something happened, Bitcoin gained 3,000% in a year. That was without spot ETFs, MicroStrategy, and nation states. Buckle up, because if history rhymes, we could be looking at $2 million Bitcoin in 2025. I'm Rustin, head of news at Simply Bitcoin. Go ahead and pour another one out for the bears. We have massive news to get to. Send it! All right, I know what you're gonna ask. Where's the chair, Rustin? Well, I fucking sold it. And today we're gonna try real hard to stay humble. But it's just so hard to when you see things like this. Our government is on pace to grow the national debt by $1.37 trillion in the next 6 months. That will put us well above $37 trillion in early 2025. And we're looking at likely a budget deficit between $2.5 trillion to $3 trillion in 2025. Interest payments of about $1.4 trillion during 2025, which could be well above 25% of all government revenue, just to pay the interest on the national debt. Tee up, Lynn Alden.
Nothing really stops this train. I think this is kind of locked in.
That's right. There's no stopping this train. And you know what it means for Bitcoin? Well, I guess it depends. Because if you've been listening to asshats like Peter Zeihan, you probably thought Bitcoin was going to like negative zero. Is that possible? Something negative.
There's no intrinsic value to this asset. And now it's starting to be priced appropriately. So it has a, what's Bitcoin at? 16,000? It has another 17,000 to go down.
Duh, really?
Yeah, there's no intrinsic value to this product.
Bitcoin's gonna go negative, Joe. I can feel it in my loins. Bitcoin's going negative. Can you see why PhDs are overrated? Is 10th grade math a requirement? Or I don't know. And let's get on this guy. Bitcoin is almost up $50,000 per coin since Robin here decided to say sayonara Bitcoin. Well, sayonara Robin, have fun staying poor. And for you guys, come on, even Alan Greenspan, he's like 300 years old, and he could break it down for you. Roll it.
The value of Bitcoins can never be negative. And so there's only one thing it could be. It's either zero or plus. And the way human beings estimate value, you're going to get a number of people always consider it a plus. And if you happen to be Bitcoin and get into early on, you create a huge potential market. But it's not an accident that virtually all of these cryptocurrencies that have some semblance of control with them, and the mathematics are correct, doing reasonably well.
I mean, it's not very bullish by Greenspan, but at least he's not highly vanguarded. And again, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a moment of silence. For all the customers that were protected from being part of the greatest ETF launch in history, you will never see a Bitcoin fund from us. Emphasis on former Vanguard CEO. Oh, we're not done with the bears yet. You remember how we said the Bitcoin revenge tour has begun? We have proof. Do you guys happen to remember when an effeminate prime minister decided to shut off Canadian bank accounts and talk shit about Bitcoin while it was directly circumventing debanking his own citizens for simply supporting the My Body, My Choice cause? Well, read 'em and weep, Trudeau. With Bitcoin now over 100K Canadian, it's up 339% since Mr. Trudeau urged Canadians to buy Bitcoin and opt out of inflation at the beginning of 2023.
Buy Bitcoin. Opt out of inflation.
Absolutely one of the best out-of-context sound bites of all time. But let's continue. How about this classic from the felons over at the ECB? Bitcoin's last stand. Well, guess what? Breaking! Bitcoin just reached a new all-time high in that shitcoin you call a euro. Suck it, Lazard. Valhalla can't be stopped. The prophecy will be fulfilled. Believe it or not, the spirit of humanity is rising, and we have numbers to prove it. And Bitcoin is now the 6th top monetary asset in the world. And just in, Bitcoin ETFs yesterday had over 4.5 billion in trading volume. BlackRock themselves with the monster 3 billion plus. I don't know if you've seen the price chart, but it looks like Bitcoin's soaring. So is hash rate, all-time highs. And eventually people learn, like Bloomberg, who just said Bitcoin is proving its mass appeal. Bitcoin remains among the best performing assets. There is no second best. Absolutely massive. Now check out this chart. Now this is kind of doing like a weighted average of all the bull cycles and trying to project where Bitcoin could end up this cycle. And this has us looking at around 317K at the peak. But what if that's actually bearish? Ladies and gentlemen, we could be looking at the beginnings of the most insane bull run in history. And I'm going to tell you why. But before we bring it home, look at our likes.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, give us a pap. Help us spread the sound money gospel while we take a moment to recognize our sponsors, the masters of Bitcoin self-custody, the Bitcoin Way. If you're looking to learn how to Bitcoin, how to properly secure your Bitcoin, you might want to head on over to the newly revamped Bitcoin Way website where you can begin your road to Bitcoin sovereignty today. If you're looking to schedule a free 30-minute consultation, go ahead and use that link below in the show notes. Big finish time. Boom! Would you look at that? Florida's CFO endorses a strategic Bitcoin reserve, urging state pensions to add Bitcoin as a hedge against what? Market volatility. The flight to quality continues. And where have I heard this before? Something, something moon, something, something strategic Bitcoin reserve. Oh, that's right, the Orange Man. And would you just look at that?
The expectation today is that Donald Trump will win the White House in just a few days. We'll know shortly. And big picture, the reduction in uncertainty is almost always positive for asset prices. And we're at that moment of peak uncertainty. It is a race that Trump is favored to win, but it's almost a coin toss. So I would say that post-election, we'll generally see a risk-on environment as people come to adopt a new regime, whether it's a Harris regime or a Trump regime. This uncertainty will be behind us.
Now, why is the Orange Man so bullish? Well, let's look at this. Trump wins, federal income tax eliminated, allowing more people to invest and buy Bitcoin. It's probably safe to say the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve would hold around 1 million Bitcoin by 2028. All of this we could be looking at Bitcoin reaching around 2.5 million. We're talking about energy independence and abundance, which does what for miners in America? That's right. It's gonna be a boom. But hold on. Right, I know. How the hell does this lead to $2 million Bitcoin? Well, here we go. All right, guys, look at that chart. When Orange Man began his first term, Bitcoin gained roughly 3,000% in a year. And again, that was even without spot ETFs and nation states, strategic Bitcoin reserves, and a global hash war. And that same gain alone from here puts Bitcoin at $2 million in 2025. You can still buy Bitcoin for less than 0.08 million, but not for long. Supplies are running out.
MOS.
What does this mean? It means it's time to get in the goddamn ark. If Noah was alive today and pointing out the coming crisis, 36 trillion in debt, 2 trillion in annual deficits, and $1 trillion annually in interest paid on the debt, well, I think he'd be like, hey, come on, get in. We got to get the McF out of here and get on the Bitcoin standard. Oh, and I know people have been saying mean things. Regardless of being garbage, look at Oscar. He achieved wonderful things, and we can too. You know what the only garbage that I see is? Fiat currency and Peter Cyan. I mean, come on, even Janet is waking up to it. Quote, fraud in the banking system is becoming a huge problem. Criminal banks are run by criminal bankers. What did Max say? Central bank's a scam.
Wall Street is fraud, America is fraud, the world is fraud, banks are fraud, central banks are fraud. We live in an era of fraud. It's all based on fraud, and they get a percentage of the fraud. That's the business model.
What do you guys think? Is $2 million Bitcoin on the table? Regardless, the future is going to be so orange. We're going to have to wear shades, baby. Oh, yeah. And hey, we got a lot more coming your way. The best is yet to come, my friends. Don't forget to like, subscribe, give us a pap, and spread that sound money gospel. Set those notifications to get the best in Bitcoin news delivered to you daily. Looks like we fucking made it, guys. Hats off to the bulls, and stay away from those criminal banking institutions. I'll catch y'all next time.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, fuck you.